Processing are complete.
Attention viewers, BigJackFilms is unavailable at the moment due to missing in action. But he has left a recording before his absence for you to enjoy.
The following is a fan-based video review under fair use. King Kong 1976 and Orca the Killer Whale are owned by Paramount Pictures, Dino De Laurentius Entertainment, Studio Canal, and Shout Factory. Please support the official release and streaming services. Hey guys, what's up? It's BigJackFilms here, and welcome back to the King Kong review series. Well, there's not much in terms of an April Fool's episode this time around, but it doesn't stop us from talking about another cancelled Kong production. While back in Season 3 I covered the majority of these things, there are a few here and there that, while we're in development, there's not much to go on in terms of news or rumors when they were in the works that I don't have much to make a full episode. But there has been one that for quite a while I've been tinkering about doing an April episode on. That, of course, being the rumored production of King Kong vs. Orca. As a concept that never got even a script written out, this project came to the mind of none other than Dino De Laurentiis, the producer of both the 1976 remake of King Kong and the Jaws ripoff Orca, with the plot making both films canon to one another and have the giant ape of Skull Island in a mortal combat with the killer whale of the sea. To put this potential project into perspective, we need to start at the very beginning with its creator. Plus, it gives me a chance to talk about the godfather of Kong. And no, that was not meant to be an Italian Godfather joke in writing this. Dino De Laurentiis was an Italian-born kid who started in the film industry all the way back to 1940, with his first film, Le Muto Calabamento, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, afterwards producing nearly 150 films in a 7-decade career. After a few homebrew films from the 1950s to the 1960s, he got one of his first big game films with 1966 adaptation of the Bible, starring Peter O'Toole, George C. Scott, and future Orca star Richard Harris. On a $15 million budget, the film was the second highest grossing film of 1966, bringing in $35 million worldwide and giving Dino a decent name in the industry. That year, he also made his first IP ripoff with Kiss the Girls Make Them Die, a cash-in on the James Bond franchise. It didn't help later in 1972, making the mafia film The Valanchy Papers, which came out the same time as Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather. Though by the 1970s, his name was well known as a power face in the ever-growing new Hollywood system. His success only became stronger with one of the best film adaptations of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and later the likes of Charles Bronson's Death Wish, Waterloo, and Mandingo. But while his power thrived, by that time, other films came in year by year to become box office champions, starting with The Exorcist in 1973. And in 1975, a little sea horror adventure thriller came along that changed movies forever with... That changed movies forever with... Yep, in 1975, Jaws changed everything, becoming the first blockbuster of cinema to make over $100 million and launched the career of then newcomer Steven Spielberg. It's never been confirmed personally if Dino was jealous of this young kid who never had a professional graduation into the system other than sneaking onto the Universal backlot, but the success of Jaws did seem to irritate him to some extent that by the late 70s, Dino jumped into the monster movie factory in an attempt to top the shark's reign over Hollywood, producing a total of 3 pictures under his deal with Paramount. I'll get to the first 2 in a minute, but the last of these 3 I want to mention briefly was 1977's The White Buffalo starring Charles Bronson. The film did very poorly, but it's notable for its creature effects, decent cast, and haunting score by John Barry, feeling like a hybrid of both King Kong and Orca of all things.
What in hell are you?
But of course, without repeating myself, Kong was the first of Dino's attempts. Starting work in 1975, having seen a poster of the original King Kong in one of his family members' bedrooms, and competing with Universal for the rights, watch my review of that mess, the film was easily the most successful and made a name for its cast and effects team. While the movie was a massive hit during the holiday season of '76, by the end of early winter '77, the film eventually ran out of steam. But Dino was so proud of his work, he petitioned it to be nominated full stop during award seasons, but only winning the Oscar for special effects shared with Logan's Run.
I already suggested 2 months ago, Kong must have an Academy nomination for one of the best actors of the year.
Which even then, for a lot of effects artists who worked on The Legend of King Kong for Universal like Jim Danforth, really pissed them off. By spring 1977, the film was done its run, moving into a world tour with some of the cast and even the animatronic Kong in some areas touring with the film itself. I'll talk about the story of that giant beast for another time. And with it came many ripoffs from Queen Kong, Ape, Mighty Peking Man, Yeti Giant of the 20th Century, The Fabulous Adventures of the Center of the Earth.
The list is almost endless.
At the same time, Dino, during and after the massive production, was already planning a follow-up titled King Kong in Africa, with reports from De Laurentiis himself that Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange would return. However, according to an interview at the time when Dino offered King Kong 2 to Bridges, the dude kindly said no. Obviously, Kong was destined to be revived somehow, but some of the original plot ideas had Kong, of course, in Africa, battling village warlords and even Russian agents attempting to occupy Africa itself. So it was basically Rambo, but with King Kong. According to an article from the New York Times and the book Kong Unmade, dated May 10th, 1976, Dino was already talking sequel while the first was in production, and writer Lorenzo Semple Jr. was tasked to come up with the story treatment in less than 3 weeks. This, of course, was a job Lorenzo didn't really have time for, given he was also rewriting drafts with John Gullerman during production. And when the film was occasionally shut down for brief periods of the time that year during production, even then Dino was said to be delusional of even prepping pre-production by mid-July, again while the first film was still in a massive production. Holy goddamn, and I thought comic book movies were getting too crazy with sequels.
Look at that Exxon campaign. We'll put a tiger in your tank. It did zillions with just a paper tiger.
Hell, King Kong in Africa had a lot of crazy concepts, like Charles Grodin returning as Fred Wilson, making that extended cutscene in some ways canon, and there was even a concept of Kong actually eating Dwan!
You wanna eat me? Then go ahead! Do it!
Maybe it was because Dino was stuck up on critics bashing Lange's Golden Globe performance? No, seriously, she won for that. Kudos for her. But this movie just sounded frickin' insane. Oh my god, and we're not even at the point yet! It got to the point where there weren't even concepts for a film yet. Other than Lorenzo's writing partner Joan Crawford's concept of a Daughter of King Kong idea as a straight version of Queen Kong, which Dino denied right from the get-go, title concepts include King Kong in Moscow. No, I'm not going there. And even Bionic Kong. That's right, a whole movie based on an outlandish McFarlane action figure. Mecha Kong was enough. I'm so sick of this concept. While Kong did not make the numbers to overboard Jaws, this had Dino try a second attempt by just straight up saying fuck Jaws with the rip-off tragedy Orca the Killer Whale, starring Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling, and then newcomer and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure reference, Bo Derek. Think basically Jaws meets Free Willy, with the whale even punching out the great white shark, and one of the best scores of spaghetti western musical icon Ennio Morricone. But during that time, a little idea started to spark in Dino's mind. In late summer 1977, Dino had both King Kong and Orca re-released for a limited time in cinemas as a double feature, mostly at Summer Beach Cabin drive-in theaters. It's hard to know if this release was as successful as the original runs, but it's clear by that point Dino was doing everything to beat Jaws. So the potential concept of a monster mash of his two creations was something potentially creeping in his head, which, to be honest, would have been ludicrous. It's hard to know if it was even a confirmed idea or just a rumored spilled from the newspaper ads that summer, showcasing a double feature since the ads in some ways misled people to think the battle already happened with its tagline. Not all adventure, not in all film history, has there ever been such a terror team, shattering cities, splitting ships, and wreaking havoc on a helpless world. now together in one program. Are we sure this isn't the tagline for Frankenstein meets the Wolfman? Or in this case, Frankenstein versus Ralph? When two of the most colossal creatures come together, the world falls apart. I said the same thing when the Burger Chef united with Kong back in 1976.
King Kong! On King Kong glasses. Get one free at Burger Chef when you buy a Big Chef or Super Chef, large fries, and a large serving of Coca-Cola. Or get one with purchase of a regular size Coke at a special price. King Kong glasses. Get all four for your kids. You want a straw?
You get more to like at Burger Chef.
To this day, I still wonder if Burger Chef was the prequel/origin to Burger King. And considering both their connections with Kong, it actually makes sense. I would argue that King is more creepy than Kong's smile.
Make room for the Kong-sized Whopper. Double beef. King Kong now playing. Go double Whopper with the King.
While a battle between these two Italian-made creatures sounds fascinating, it'd be interesting to know how they would cross paths, and it's honestly anyone's guess. It's hard to tell how far this concept got during that time, and it wouldn't surprise me if Dino pitched a King Kong vs. Jaws movie to Universal when finally allying with them in the 80s on the production of Halloween 2 onwards. Though it turns out the release of Orca actually did rub Universal the wrong way after countless ripoffs came under their lawyer's radar in the late 70s. Hell, some never even got released, like the decently made Italian production The Last Shark, originally titled Great White. Funny, since Universal actually just greenlit a similar film with the exact same title. But unfortunately, King Kong vs. Orca was more passing notes when it came to conception or ideas, and no script or story outline was ever considered, and the closest in terms of films we probably will ever get was more of the King Kong vs. Jaws scenario in the 1976 Korean 3D film Ape, also known as Attack of the Giant Horny Gorilla.
There is a girl out there who might be running for her life from some gigantic turned-on ape.
Which turned out used a real dead shark for its effect. Good lord, imagine the smell that thing gave to the suit in washing. Ugh.
Oh, Christ.
Oh, God.
Though, to be honest, given all the fanscriptions out there, I figured this episode would give me a chance to try it out and give my take of what the plot would be for King Kong vs. Orca. The film would more than likely take place around 1979 or 1980 and would start off mainly with the first act of King Kong Lives, where Kong is revived. Only this time, with less time on him in a coma, he has more blood in his system to keep him alive. And instead of being placed in a university in North Carolina, a military biology lab located on the isolated barges of Boston, where Jack Prescott, having experience with the ape, keeps a close eye, along with a worrying Dwan in a bit of a smaller role. Meanwhile, flying from Nova Scotia, is a curious marine biologist, Rachel Bedford, who is interested in the revived Kong and studying his intelligence. Jack questions her reasons, where she tells the tragic tale of the orca and the fallen captain who met his fate. Though with the presence of the ape near the waters comes the arrival of a rare seen male orca, who matches up to Kong's size. When the reports of the orca come to Bedford's attention, she checks it out for instinctive traumatic reasons, and discovers it to be the same orca who killed Captain Nolan. Feeling he sensed her or Kong's presence lured the beast over to the Boston waters, she insists Kong to be moved inland despite the restrictions of the Port Authority and the head of the facility who plans to sell off Kong to a new commercial keeper without the knowledge of Jack and the others. And when things go tits up for the bad guys and the disruptive behavior of the orca, Kong gets agitated and breaks loose once again, crashing headfirst into the orca's water. But as it turned out, by the time Dino started working with Universal, it gave him an eventual leeway to get his dream Kong sequel off the ground, since after the 75 court battle, Universal ended up getting full future movie rights to the character.
We have a participation in that film, so to the degree that this supports that film, we're both personally and financially pleased by that. MCA went through a lot of litigation in connection with this particular character. And we consider that we're foster parents at this stage of the Kong character.
This, of course, is what led to the iconic Universal attractions getting built and Dino getting full reign to produce his sequel a decade later with King Kong Lives in 1986. While the movie, which I've talked about many times, was a financial disaster, it's interesting to see overall where the concepts of a sequel started and how it almost became a monster crossover to be reckoned with. Overall, when it comes to King Kong vs. Orca, the concept that, while never gotten off the ground, it is a fascinating idea. And if made, I'd probably give a solid 7 out of 10. Again, it's hard to tell if this would have been good or not, but it's a fascinating subject that sparked this Dino-Mite Battle of the Beasts, and could have swam in uncharted waters, or go swimming with the fishies. So with that 45-year rumor cleared out, let us know your thoughts on King Kong vs. Orca in the comments section below. Do you think it would have worked, or was it dead in the water from the start? So now one question remains. What's next for the King Kong reviews? Well, given next month is anime, I figured we'd finally take a look at the MonsterVerse Netflix upcoming anime series simply known as Skull Eye.